Welcome to Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach with Mark Gellard and Candy Reid. Well, hello everyone, and a warm welcome to Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. My name is Candy Reid. Delighted to welcome in longtime coach of Holger Rune and formerly of Clara Towson as well. His name is Lars Christensen. He's been on your screens for so many ATP and WTA matches. But we're going to talk about how Lars began his professional coaching career, what he's learnt, and how far he thinks his players can go. Lars, it's wonderful to have you on the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Lars, we first met, I think it was about 4 years ago at Eastbourne in Devonshire Park on England's south coast. And you kindly accepted to be on the ATP podcast, which is unfortunately now defunct. But the first thing we talked about, and you caught me by a huge surprise, was what you started life essentially after, of course, childhood. But you were a circus performer to begin with. Is that right?
Yeah. I was like a professional artist in acrobatics for like 15 years, and I ended my career 22 years ago when I turned 40, and so that was my background.
It's incredible. How did you get into circus performing? What led you to that?
Well, when I was quite young, I really enjoyed traveling a lot. And while traveling, I was watching street performers, and I was thinking to myself, this is a nice way to travel and to do your living while on the road. And I said, okay, let's go and see if I can do something. And I was doing a lot of gymnastics when I was a child, and so I went back home after one of my trips and started juggling and unicycling and doing slack rope walking, and I put together a little street performance act that I then tried to travel with in the summer times, and I had a girlfriend at that time who was not much into juggling and all this stuff, so by accident we started doing acrobatics together, and with my gymnastics background it came pretty easy to me, so that was the way we continued together, and we built up 2 acts and started doing it more professionally. So we started doing circuses and varieties, and and that was the beginning of a 13 to 15 years long career.
It's unbelievable. And what about tennis? Where does that come into all this? Because you played tennis.
Yeah, I was. My parents were playing tennis, so I was actually. I grew up on the tennis courts as I was a kid, so they took me there when I was quite small. My father, he was back in the time of the wooden racket, so he would cut an old racket into 2 and give them a small racket. So that's how I started playing when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I was playing on a decent level. I was not competing internationally, but I was playing on a decent national level until I was about 18, and I stopped. I wasn't good enough to pursue a career on that, and I think during high school there were so many things going on, and so I didn't play tennis for many years, but I picked it up by the end of our performing days. So I started playing tennis. I remember we were on a cruise ship, working there for half a year, and there was a photographer on the cruise ship who played tennis, and we started talking about tennis. And he said, "Let's go out and play when we get into the harbors." And so I began playing tennis again.
Were you a natural tennis player? And do you think, just looking at your career, if you'd had better facilities, better coaches, a better understanding of how to go through the routes, you would have done better? Or was it always going to be the fact that you moved into coaching or something else?
Well, I started I told you I started playing recreationally tennis when I was very, very young, but at that time tennis was only a summer sports, and I'm from Denmark, so the summers were pretty short, and I mean, you can only take it so far if you don't start early, and if you don't play all the time. So no, it was never really an option that I could go so much further in tennis, but I liked playing, and I was happy to pick it up again later.
And do you think the gymnastics and the fact that you were an acrobat and a street performer has helped you understand how the body works in tennis and to get the strength and the stamina that your players need to perform?
I definitely do think it's very helpful for me because I mean, tennis teaching tennis is a lot of biomechanics, and biomechanics is obviously it's a different kind of motions that you do in tennis than you do when you're doing handstands or doing partner acrobatics. It's another thing, but the principles are the same. So in that way, I think it helped me a lot to see and spot little details and how to build things. You know, knowing a lot about balance, about weight transfers, and all these things helped me a lot. And at the same time, well, my work as a circus artist is actually it's very similar to the work of a professional tennis player. I mean, we were traveling like 8 to 10 months a year at least, and when we're on tour, the routines were almost the same. I mean, we're not playing any matches; we're going on stage and performing at night, but the the whole thing around it was the same. You know, waking up in the morning, doing your warm-up routines, having your rehearse sessions, and preparing for the show at night, and going into on stage and giving it all every night. So I mean, it's so similar, and everything that's around preparing and being nervous and all these little things. It's so much similar.
That's so good. I didn't actually think about that because you can tell your players how to perform, which is so much of it, isn't it? Because these guys and girls are so brilliant at what they do, but not everyone can step on a main centre court with lots and lots of people either cheering for them or against them and actually put their heart and soul and relax enough to do what they need to do. What do you think is if you have a tip for everybody listening, what would you say is the best thing for somebody to be able to relax and perform to their highest ability on the big stage?
I think it's a lot about knowing your abilities and being being cool and calm about your performance. If you're really cool and calm about that, you know what you're capable of doing, and if you have a lot of good routines about what you do, so you don't get too anxious when you enter the stage, I think that is very much key. And then believe in your abilities to do what you're doing. I think it's all about that, because I mean, if you go on stage as an artist and you know some of the tricks that you're doing, you don't master them 100%. You might fail every other night. You're getting really nervous when you go on stage, and I guess it's pretty much the same. If you go on center court in front of thousands of people and you believe in yourself, you know what you're capable of, you're able to relax in the situation, although there's a lot on stake.
That's so good. I agree with that entirely. And having had the good fortune to step on court in Doha at the ATP 500, that was actually a question I asked Carlos Alcaraz. In the big moments, how is he able to step up? And he said it's all about staying calm, because you can then think things through. Once the panic takes hold, then sort of the red mist comes and the frustration builds. And we all know, Lars, don't we, from particularly playing tennis, how frustrating it is and how easy it is to boil over, and things never generally go right, do they? You have to keep a cool head.
That's correct, and I mean that's one of the major differences between my former profession and this one. I was I was in charge of what was happening. There was nobody on the other side of the net trying to disturb me or trying to take off my rhythm. So I mean, the way these guys are able keep emotions under control under these circumstances. It's amazing. I think they're really, really great athletes.
So let's now go back to your coaching career. When did you start working with Holger Rune and then Clara Tauson, and where were you at this point?
Well, I was like 40 years old, and I started doing coaching in some minor clubs, and then I got a promotion to a bigger club, and I was in charge of everything in that club. And I was teaching Holger's older sister, and one winter, we're at that situation, we didn't have a lot of indoor courts, so in the winter, although I was chief coach, I would coach all the kids, during the winter times, and Holger came in one winter when he was 7 years old, and at that time I was doing some stuff. I had like themes for every week, like technical, tactical, and physical themes for every week, and on every Monday I would present a new theme for the technical stuff, and on Wednesday I would repeat it, and on Friday normally we would try to use it in some game situations. And with most of the kids, when I taught everything on Monday, on Wednesday when they came back, I had to start all over again, and on Friday they didn't really master it. But very soon I saw Holger, when he came on Wednesday, he would do the theme that we're working on to perfection, and I was really curious what was happening. And after a while I found out that when I did some teaching, he would go home and then he would just stay hours and hours and hours in front of the mirror and try to do the movements to make it perfect, and he would go down with his sister to try and work on it as well. So when he came back on Wednesday, he was like, wow, it was incredible how fast it went. And just during the first winter, I think he was 7 at that time, and during the first winter he just got so much better than most of the kids, even 2-3 years older than him. So I knew that he was something special, and I mean the dedication and his wish to do well was incredible.
Does Holger, I don't know the answer to this question. Does Holger have sporting parents? Does he have sporting grandparents?
Well, his mother used to be a ballet dancer when she was young. She was in the Danish ballet school, and I don't think she ever worked professionally as a ballet dancer. But it was a very strict school, So they took in the kids from when they were like 7 or 8 years old, and it was like 10 years, I think, she was in that ballet school. So she's got the discipline. She's got the knowledge of how to work hard and with a goal. And the father, as I know, have not anything with sports to do really. And yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, it's amazing because usually you read the bio of a professional tennis player and you can see, the grandfather was a swimmer and the mother was a tennis player, and it goes down the line, and you can kind of understand. But Holger is essentially just a rare sort of prodigy. And then what about Clara Tauson? I know that her uncle was a very, very good tennis player.
Well, I started working with Clara some years later. I think she was 10 or something at the time when I started working with her, and her uncle was a professional tennis player and on the Danish Davis Cup team, and had some years where he was playing really good. Clara's father was on the national ice hockey team and was professional. Clara's mother was a handball player, also on professional level. So she got the parents with the sports genes that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's the more normal cause. And was Clara a little bit like Holger in that she adapted and picked things up really quickly?
Yeah, she definitely was. I mean, they're very different characters, both of them, but she was really working a lot, and picking up really fast. And she was not like I think Holger was much faster, as a junior, also doing good results compared to Clara, but she definitely picked up fast as well. And yeah, it was she was also eager to work, so it's all about that.
And when you have a talented kids, Lars, because I've worked with quite a few, you obviously want to help them, but a lot of it is knowing what you need to know as well. Where did you get your advice to try and help these kids become the best they can be?
Well, I've studied a lot in all aspects on how to develop young kids, and I studied, teaching as well. So I got a good background for that. But actually, what I'm looking for when I get these young talented kids, it's not so much only the kid. It's a lot about the parents as well, because I mean, I'm from Denmark. It's a small country, and if all the talented kids, if I should work with all of them, I wouldn't be able to do anything very good. So I'm really picky about who I use my time with, and for me, I think it's mainly about the parents, how they are with the kids, and how much they are willing to put into the effort of bringing up the kids as professional tennis players in the long run. So that's a, a lot of, and I think also during for the coaching, when you're working with young kids, it's a lot about educating the parents. So that's what I'm looking a lot into.
That's very good. I was actually, my childhood coach was Ian Hughes, who's now working with Belinda Bencic for the second time, and has worked with people like Elena Svitolina as well, and Katerina Siniakova, and so many others, including Magda Nanette. And I remember he came from football and started coaching me, and he just had different ideas, which I really loved, and he made me love tennis. And I remember him
Yeah,
also sleeping in the boot of my mother's estate car, because he tried to come with me, and obviously it's difficult as a junior because you're not really getting money. So he used to sort of scrimp and save and come with me and sleep in the boots of the car, which in England, probably like Denmark, is quite cold. But
yeah.
that just shows you how much he loved it and how much he wanted to help me. Do you remember doing anything crazy like that?
Well, I don't remember sleeping in the boot of any car, but I mean, the first many years, when Holger was still a junior, I was putting so many hours into this project, and I was traveling really, really much. We
Yeah.
had to go abroad for long periods of time to practice, not only to play tournaments, because it was not that easy to get the courts, to get the possibility to work really hard in Denmark. So we were abroad for a long periods of time, and I believed in the project, and I thought this was something really worth doing the full effort for. So I was working hours and hours and hours without really getting paid any big salaries or anything. So I put everything in, and I have a child
Wow.
myself, and so there were sacrifices. Not sleeping in the car, but there were there are things that you have to give up, to pursue your dream, and to try and support the dream of young tennis player like Holger, who really got the possibilities.
And now, of course, you're in a completely different situation because both Holger and Clara are top pros. So life is very different, but still, it's a lot of traveling, a lot of sacrifice for you. But now you get to stay in much nicer hotels. You get to travel to the places in much nicer style. But there are a lot of things you're missing. Do you mind that now at this stage in your life, or are you still happy to do what is essentially a grind? I think most people would agree who are actually in the circle of tennis.
Well, I'd never really see it as a sacrifice. I know I mentioned the word myself, but that's more the way people will normally look at it. I never really saw it as a sacrifice. So as long as the work that you're doing is being appreciated, and as long as it makes sense, if I feel that I can do something that can help Holger on the long run, and at the same time I can learn something, I can grow from it, I don't see it as a sacrifice. So obviously, when I get back home, I'm really happy to come home and spend some time with my son when he's at home, and that's really really nice. But I never see it as a sacrifice when I do leave home and go away for months and months.
And that's why you're doing so well. So Holger Rune, a world number 4 in his career. I mean, he is a terrific young man. What an exciting athlete he is. He's obviously at this point recovering from that horrendous Achilles tear, which he sustained in Stockholm last year. What was your reaction when that happened? Because I know what I thought, and it was shock and horror when you were actually there. What did you think?
I was devastated because, I mean, yeah, I knew immediately what happened. I think a lot of people around us was not really sure what was the issue, but I knew straight away that it was Achilles, and obviously I couldn't tell for sure that it was a full rupture or a partly rupture, but I knew what was happening, and I knew that this was a serious injury. So I was really, right when it happens, you say, "Oh shit, no, please not, don't let this happen." And I mean, we're getting into, after a period of adversity, I think Holger was getting into some good situation mental wise, and I think he was playing really really good tennis, and he was rising his level from tournament to tournament. And we had a goal of getting to Turin this year, or last year it was, and I mean, all those dreams, that was the first, oh, this is gonna happen, and this is not gonna happen, and then after that, the thoughts are obviously on how is he gonna take that, how is he gonna recover, and how's his mood gonna be affected by this situation, and yeah, there are lots of thoughts coming up in the moment.
There's going to be lots of sort of depths of despair, isn't there? But you've got to pick yourself up, and you amazingly have all done that. The whole family have sort of got together, it looks like, and you're putting so much work into the rehab. Can you just give us a brief idea of how it's going, and how is Holger's mindset?
Well, I think we're on the right track. I think I'm really pleased with how Holger has handled the situation right from the beginning. I think he was very very fast. He was, okay, this is a situation. What are my short-term goals gonna be? I want to get out of this boot. How I'm gonna work until I get out of the boot, and when I get out of the boot, how I'm gonna work to start walking. And I mean, he's been really really focused on the whole process, and he's gaining strength. Day by day he's gaining strength. He's starting to walk more normally, and we're starting to do some plyometric works on a low scale yet, and I mean, he's been using the whole time as well, to try and address some of the other issues. How can we use this time to get even better physically? How can we use the time to build on some technical stuff that we never really have the time to implement during the full tournament calendar? And I think he's been amazing during the whole process.
That's good. That's great to hear. And we've seen Arthur Feast come back from an 8-month injury with a back injury, and he's come back, it seems, stronger than ever. So I think you're right. Sometimes these horrendous things are a bit of a blessing in disguise, although at the time that is hard to see the big picture. Just going back to a player's personality, because you've worked with 2 of the world's best, which to have one player make it as a professional tennis player is amazing. To have 2, Lars, is fantastic, and it shows what a good coach you are. Is there a personality trait that you must have, do you think, to become a top athlete? And it doesn't matter, I'm sure, in tennis, whatever it is, but do you think there's something that just really sticks out? You mentioned Holger when he was younger, just wanting to practice and practice and practice. Is it a love? Is it passion? Is it a demand to get the best of yourself or to never lose? What do you think is it?
I think a lot of traits, personality traits, goes into that. But I mean, the discipline, the wish to work hard is definitely a must be. If it's not, it's going to be really really tough.
Yeah.
And then I think you have to be a little bit crazy, and you have to love the sport and you have to hate losing. I mean,
Yes.
if those things go together, you've got a pretty good chance with the with the right surroundings around you, and going the right path all the way. But I mean, the competitive thing it's so important, and it's really hard. It's nothing that I don't feel that I can teach these things. I mean, either you have it or you don't have it. I can try to cultivate it, or I can try to polish it a little bit if it's going in the wrong direction. But I think the wish to win, the wish to be number one, the wish to stand in the big tournaments, to be celebrated for playing fantastic tennis, and just the hate of losing. I mean, it's so important.
The
If
hate
you
of
accept
losing.
losing, you're never
Yeah.
gonna win.
Yeah, that's so good. I've just finished reading a book called Good to Great, and they follow companies that have made it to the very, very top. And they've also looked at companies that have been to the top and then dropped, or the ones that just get to good but never quite get to the very, very top. And there's so much study and information and data. And essentially, it comes down to the who. So it's about who you pick, because obviously you could be a fantastic player with all the right attributes, but if you don't have the right team around you, you've got no chance. Would you agree also with that Holger has found the right people to surround himself with, the right coach, strength and conditioning, and all the other bits that go into making a top player?
Well, I think it's an ongoing process, and I think Holger has obviously I've been working with him from a very, very young age. There's been periods of time where I think 1.5 year where I was not by his side, and he was working with other coaches, and I do hope that these times gave him something as well, and I think it's not 100% sure that the team he has around him is the right one in 2 or 3 years, but I do think that right now he's got some really good people around him who can help him on the path, and 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 then I think it's very much up to the athlete and the family and everybody close to him to find out who can be my next mentor at the right moment, because I do not believe that one person can bring it all and take it all the way. So I think it's important to have a lot of people around you at different times at the right time, especially finding the right coaches, the right physios, the right mental guys, and yeah, it's super important, and I think within the team as well, I think it's important that there's a good atmosphere within the team, that you have good conversations, that you're agreeing and going on the same path, so all these little things are super important.
And finally, just wrapping up this podcast, you've been very kind with your time, Lars. I'd love to know from your point of view, when you watch someone like Carlos Alcaraz, who is the outstanding player right now, we're speaking in February 2026 of the ATP Tour, what does he do better than everyone else?
Well, I think no doubt Carlos is one of the most gifted players. I don't know if of all times, but he's super gifted. I think he's got no real weaknesses at all. And I mean, this stuff that when he was younger, he had some weaknesses. I think they closed all these weaknesses. And what I find about him right now is that I think he's got mentally he's grown a lot over the last few years, and he just seems so calm. Even I watched the semis yesterday, and I mean there are times in the match where you can see he loses focus for a while, but I mean it doesn't freak him out at all. He believes so much in himself. He knows, okay, I'm gonna be back. I just have to switch on again, and then he doesn't panic when these situations occur. And yeah, I mean he's improved on all matters since I mean I know him for a long time. He's the same age as Holger, so they played together from they were very, very young. I think first time when they're 10 years old, so we've been together all the way through. So and yeah, I think he's a super talented player, and I'm really happy to see Holger back soon, and hopefully he will come back and compete with Carlos again about the throne.
I have no doubt of that. What is next for you then, as my final question? Where's the next destination?
Well, right now we're here in Doha, and we're doing the rehab out here. I'll go home for a few weeks now, and then Holger has some obligations in India and Wales, and then we'll come back beginning of March and do hopefully the last rehab period out here, and then we'll start the transitioning into tennis again. You know, I mean, it's not that we haven't been playing tennis a lot, but at that time, by middle of March, end of March, hopefully we can get him into the tennis shape slowly, and then I guess, you know, rest of the transition into pro tennis again will probably take place in Monaco. So right now it's Doha, and then we'll come back here in the beginning of March, and then from April, I guess we'll be situated in Monaco most of the time for preparing, and let's see.
Well, I wish you all the very best, Lars. It's been fascinating getting to know you and listening to your story. And I really think you're an amazing coach and a calm influence on Holger, who's a very, very exciting player. There's so many fantastic players, aren't there, on the ATP Tour side of things. And I love the personalities that come up. I think we've got exciting times ahead. So thank you so much for being on Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. We got it done after speaking about it for a while. And I do thank you very much for your time.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Lars. Thank you for watching Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. Please like, subscribe and share, and we'll be back soon with another great episode.